Digital Literacy Essentials statewide webinars brought to you by the California State Library Association and the California Department of Education and the incredibly amazing, supportive California Technology Assistance Program, otherwise known as CTAP. My name is Glenn, and I am your information literacy host today. This has been such a wonderful series. It has touched on a wide range of educational stakeholders and their perspectives on the importance of information digital literacy. So far, we've heard from the State Superintendent's Office, the State Attorney General's Office, the University of California and the California State Universities. We've also heard from the Governor's Order for Digital Literacy, Executive Order for Digital Literacy from the California Technology Agency, as well as from the Director of the Curriculum Frameworks for the California Department of Education. And last week, we heard from the Center for Copyright Information board member explaining the entertainment industries and the civil liberty advocates' perspective on copyright and fair use. Wow, that was quite an eye-opener from last week. If you missed any of these sessions, you will want to keep a copy of the link to the landing page that will house all of the recorded sessions and their corresponding resources. It is important for me to recognize and publicly thank the Madera County Office of Education and the Superintendent Cecilia Massetti for providing the Adobe Connect platform that's making this all possible. Also, a special shout out to Tulare County Office of Education, hi Beth, and also the Orange County Department of Education and the San Diego County Office of Education for their support in helping to conceive this series. Well, with all this wonderful information that this series has provided, it begs the question, so what? Are there any examples of how schools and districts and counties are putting these information and digital literacy essentials into practice? Well, today we have a 5-star panel that will help us out. These are amongst the best of the best, and every one of them are from the CTAP warehouse, or wheelhouse, I should say. We have today with us Dennis Dietz. I believe, Dennis, you can recognize him by the bow tie he is wearing. And he is the director of CTAP. He's got a rich experience in the area of being a teacher of mathematics as well as an administrator. And Dennis has the 40,000 foot view in California of how technology is being implemented in the classroom. We also have John Magnuson, who's the coordinator of media and technology for Merced County Office of Education. He also is a CTAP lead as well. And also Susan Pinnell, who's the manager for media services for Madera County Office of Education. And all of these folks have over a decade of experience, and they only look like they started yesterday. They look so young. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. And I believe that the way we're going to kick this off is that, Dennis, you are going to start with teeing the whole thing up for all of us. And we're really looking forward to hearing about some of the best practices that are happening in and around the state of California. And briefly, Dennis, before we get started, could you give us a quick update on how CTAP doing?
Well, CTAP's doing great. Across the state, we have lots of people doing lots of work in districts to help implement a lot of the technology that districts are buying for SBAC implementation and hopefully more importantly for daily classroom use. So we are, called in to help schools and districts who have just purchased tablets and Chromebooks and iPads, make the best use of them for student learning. We're all, of course, worried about what's going to happen with the legislature's take on Senate Bill 505, which is finished going through the Senate and is now going through the House. So that's a wait and see how that goes, at least for me.
Well, Dennis, I thank you for doing that because I did tee you up to say just what you said, and I wanted everybody to hear it. So you are very good at reading between the lines, sir. So with that, why don't you take it away and enlighten.
Great. So I'm going to sort of set up the why you would see what you're going to see in the classroom, and then John and Susan will give more examples of what students are doing already to be prepared for the SBAC assessments of their mastery of the Common Core standards, and tie this into both the model library standards and to technology in general. So this is sort of a helical approach. We'll start with some standards, assessments, student work, standards, assessments. You'll see how it goes. So you all know, because you know much more than I do about the library standards, that our library standards are directed at access, evaluate, use, and integrate information. And so what I want to look at is sort of how that relates to the assessments and to one standard in particular. So Smarter Balanced is going to be collecting data that students provide that show evidence that they have mastered some piece of content. They have 4 claims in English language arts literacy that that sort of will encompass all of student learning to demonstrate that students are college and career ready. The 4th claim in the Smarter Balanced assessments is that students can engage in research inquiry to investigate topics and analyze, integrate, and present information. So this sounds like something that's both important and right up our alley. This claim has 7 subparts, and I'm not going to go through all the subparts. Everybody's like, whew, thank goodness. Only go to number 7, and 7 says that we will use tools of technology to gather information, make revisions, or to produce texts and presentations. So what this sort of is telling us is that we will be actually assessing students' skills from grade K through grade 12 based on the different pieces of the content grade level standards, whether or not they're mastering to this ultimate anchor standard. This ultimate anchor standard, sorry. So what that particular piece of the claim says is that it collects data that demonstrates that students have mastered this particular anchor standard, writing standard number 6, that students can use technology, including the internet, to produce and publish writing and to interact and collaborate with others. So some of you may not know what it means to produce to the internet. This might expect our middle school students, for example, to be publishing on blogs, or to be participating in wikis, or in the case of my daughter, to be presenting her own written work on fan fiction. These are all examples of students producing and publishing to the internet, which is sort of a radically different concept than producing and publishing for a teacher's desk in a pile of papers. And actually we think that it's going to give students much more sort of buy-in to their work, because they will know that from 2 to 20,000 to 200,000 other human beings may be looking at what they do. So one of the ways that we assess whether or not students are mastering the standards is through the performance tasks. Hopefully you've all heard, probably more than you ever dreamed you would hear, about performance tasks. The performance task will be done in the summative part of the assessment as sort of a 1.5 to 2 hour to 3 hour over the day or multiple days activities, and all of the performance tasks in English language arts will have a research component. So now we have the standard, we have the expectation, and we have the assessment all aligned to ask and measure whether or not students are mastering research skills. As you know, the model library standards are explicitly directed at making sure that students have mastered research skills. So, of course, everybody says, Dennis, we don't really want everybody teaching to the test. So what is actually we expect students to learn? And as you probably know, Wiggins and McTee have for the last 15 years been working on the idea of transfer goals. A transfer goal is sort of a big skill or understanding that students will have that they can leave school with and make good use of in their college life, their career life, and their daily life. So it seems to me that a transfer skill that would be obvious that students would be able to take into their regular lives is learning how to do research. So for, of course, college, professional, your professional life, and I'm not sure whether I noted this, but when I was doing the research for the presentation today, I did sort of the mapping from the Smarter Balance Assessment to the standard, to the model library standards. And then, of course, not having done my research as well as I probably should have, came later to discover that the CDE and some of you have already made that map and articulated it and published it on the CDE website. So all of the work that I did, I could have gotten just by, successful research, and I didn't. But I'm a mathematician. I like to, do my own proofs. So there you go. The personal life thing is that basically I probably use my research skills, and we probably all use our research skills every single day. You go out with your friends, or in my case, my family, and I'm talking, and they say, "No, Dennis, you don't know what you're talking about." And I go, "Of course I know what I'm talking about." And they say, "No, no." And then they get their cell phone, and they look it up, and they do a little bit of research, and then they show me, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about." So actually, it's not been very helpful to me in, keeping up with the world. But I'm learning to not talk quite as much as I used to. So an example that our CTAP was working on just the other day, we were helping a district in the high desert. Well, high desert is the Mojave Desert for the rest of California. Out there in the middle of nowhere, they do not have, as you probably guess, what you would call research institutions. So the University of California is not there with their big, huge libraries, but students are still able, of course, to get on the internet and do research about a thing. So what we were doing was helping the school site implement a bring your own device policy. We had a lot of fifth graders. All of a sudden, they're all excited. They brought in their iPads and their cell phones and their laptops, and but of course they have to have projects that are conducive to academic growth. So the teacher had was jointly having students read the historical fiction book Number the Stars by Lois Lowry, which is a historical fiction book about, if I remember it right, it was like the Danish Jews' flight from Copenhagen to the during World War II. And so what the students were doing, they were all assigned to different people in the historical fiction. They were looking up to see what the actual people in the historical figures did, said, how they interacted, with who they were related to, and then relating that and comparing that and contrasting that with the fiction piece that Miss Lowry had written. So they're making good use of their educational research skills. They were making good use of their technology. They were addressing Common Core standards, and they were all completely, fully engaged and well on their way to becoming, hopefully, college and career ready human beings. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to, I think, Susan. So Susan, are you ready?
So the example I'll give is showcasing Golden Valley Unified School District. And Golden Valley is in the Madera Ranchos in Madera County, which those of you not from the Central Valley, it's in the center of the state. Melanie Lewis is the Director of Learning Resources. She's the District Learning Resources Coordinator for the district. And an example of information literacy has been going on since 2006. They implemented the rigor, relevance, and relationship curriculum that's been commonly used in the state. And they did huge cross-curricular projects between science and English language arts teachers, and history, social science, and English language arts teachers, and math even, and ELA teachers. So every student in grades 9 through 12 from 2006 until current are doing these cross-curricular activities, which we're seeing outlined in our new Common Core standards for English Language Arts. So they were ahead of the game even before the Common Core was written and adopted. Another example in Golden Valley Unified is the digital citizenship curriculum. And this is being implemented in grades kindergarten through grade 12 using that the common sense media curriculum. So every teacher in grades K through 12 in Golden Valley Unified are teaching digital citizenship to their students. New this year is the Bring Your Own Device in Golden Valley. The students in grades 9 through 12 they bring their own devices to school for the first time. And this is mainly because Melanie was promoted from being the teacher librarian at Liberty High School to being the district learning resources coordinator. So having some power helps to change policy in a school district, that's for sure. And in order to help prepare students for what the expectations are for the district, they had a digital citizenship day for using their own devices and what the expectation was, and students have been very pleased to be able to use them, and the district is pleased with the outcome of their behavior with it. The new for next year for grade 10, it'll be a one-to-one tablet program. Every student in grade 10 will have that one-to-one tablet. And again, there will be the instruction on digital literacy for those students to be able to implement that program successfully. And lastly, a couple other topics there. Every kindergarten through grade 12 student has access to Blackboard's Engage software. So not only do the students access this and interact with their teachers, but the parents also are interacting. So all three are using Engage, and every teacher has that instance, and there is that interaction between student and teacher as well as parents in that online environment. And Golden Valley Unified's projects mentioned in these slides, they all are incorporating the Model School Library standards that are adopted by the state of California. So this is just an example of one district in California that is implementing both information literacy and digital literacy curriculum throughout the grade levels. And now, John, let me turn that over. Oh, sorry, one more slide. This is Melanie's contact information. She says that you are welcome to contact her to find out more information of how that curriculum is being implemented in her school district. And this PowerPoint is posted on our Google site for this webinar series. Now, John, it's your turn. John Magnuson with Merced County Office of Ed.
Good afternoon. I'm just looking at these slides. This is actually the first slide, and the school that I'm going to be talking about is actually a school district. It's Merced City School District. They have about 10,000 ADA, and like many of our Central Valley school districts, large number of English learners. And one of the issues they face, like many of our school districts, is students that get classified as English learners get to a certain level on CELT and are unable to move beyond the level 3. And so in an effort to address that issue, the school district set up a summer English Learner Academy. And their goal was to focus on moving students from 3s to 4s. But they also wanted to integrate technology into the project. And so in collaboration with the city school district, our county office and our English learner staff and our leadership team worked with them to develop a pilot program. And so there are going to be 250, approximately 250 second and third graders that have been identified as level 3s, and 250 third and fourth graders that have been identified as level 3s. And they'll have an opportunity to participate in a one-to-one iPad or Chromebook pilot. And these students, second and third graders, will have the iPads. Third and fourth graders will have the Chromebooks. And so at the end of this pilot, the district will do an evaluation of the different technologies and their strengths and weaknesses. The part that I'm excited about with this pilot is not the technology, but the focus that the district is using to connect the learning to the individual students. And so they are using the International Baccalaureate's themes to provide a focus for student inquiry. So a big chunk of the day will be spent on student-centered research into the theme of who are we. And so during the summer pilot, they will be spending they will have 6 different projects that they'll work on that all revolve around the theme of who are we. In addition to that, they'll focus on some prep awareness activities, as well as engage with Khan Academy. So part of this work is figuring out the different kinds of workflows for both the teachers and students on both devices. And so it's been real interesting to try to figure out how you can accomplish the research work, the organization of information, and the presentation of information on both of these devices in a way that would be appropriate for 2nd through 5th graders. So we don't know how it's going to turn out, but we're pretty excited about the process of setting them up for this. And so one of the key parts of this work was leveraging Google resources. And so you see on this screen 3 different icons. The upper left-hand icon represents Google Chrome, which is actually turns out to be a real critical component for the Chromebooks because it has the ability to add apps and extensions that increase the functionality for the students as a part of their workflows. And so part of the work for the teachers and students is figuring out how to use those apps and extensions in a way that enhances their ability to do research and to organize information and then present information. And so they'll be interacting with the Google store to identify apps and extensions that are useful, as well as learn more about Google apps like the Google Presentation app and the Google Docs. And finally, the whole project is housed on a Google site, and one of the things that I wanted to share was that as teachers are beginning to work with tech integration and doing these kinds of research-based projects, a nice part of it is to have them reflect on their process so that we can learn from them about what has worked well, what hasn't worked well. And so we're beginning to organize a collection of videos from teachers that are in these one-to-one implementations and asking them questions about what worked, what didn't, what we were able to do. And so on this site here we have 4 of those videos that people can take a look at. So I know that was fast, but hopefully it was helpful.